yourself younger and healthier, like eating beetroot extract, and I recommended Tylenol for you because you're outside of the autism window now.
Right. So you need a minute to catch your breath?
Yeah. Speaking of young and healthy,
Now I have doubts.
I knew I shouldn't have gone up 3 steps.
I have doubts about what you just told me I need to take to feel younger and healthier.
So you did a show last night.
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
And is it true that Calvin performed with you?
No, he was there.
He was there.
I did a tour during the day, and he helped me with the tour.
Got it.
The bus tour.
Sightseeing.
Sightseeing, yes. We saw Lincoln Park Zoo. And
That's where my dad turned his first trick.
exactly. That over there is where I was conceived. And that's not true. That was a seedy hotel room. But yeah, and then that night we played a show when I was there. And he's here for minutes.
Oh, I guess he will be watching my panel.
Oh yeah, that's why he's here. So yeah, how are you?
Rob has the sweetest children,
Yeah,
who have now grown up, which is so shocking.
yeah, they're both in college.
Yeah, amazing.
Crazy. And then I got a little wee one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Speaking of conceived in a hotel room.
No, that was a very sweet night, though.
Yeah, he was there. Just to oversee things.
Slow down, Rob.
Here, let me show you, he said.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Chicago.
We're still here, huh?
Amazing. How's it going for everyone? Right. God, still people here. Show ended so long ago. I think we've also forgotten that the show ended. We members of the cast, we're just sort of living in this alternate reality where Supernatural just goes on forever. I talk about it, I find myself talking about it in the present tense. I'm on this show, Supernatural. It's like, no, you're not. You just won't move on, Misha. I was just in South Africa and Rwanda. And I was there primarily because I wanted to go see a couple of projects that Random Acts and Gish had funded years ago, and to see was this all a ruse? Did we actually do anything, or were we filmed? And the projects were just thriving, and it was totally awesome to see. The school that was on the verge of closing that we funded 7 years ago is thriving and is doing so well that the South African government just decided to fund it now. So it's like funded, fully funded and self-sustaining. And then the farms in Rwanda where we bought the land, this is you people, by the way, you raised the money to make this happen. This family made this happen. There were all of these Rwandan women, genocide survivors, who were living in abject poverty. A lot of them were homeless. A lot of them were sex workers. Half of them were HIV positive because the genocide had been just this horrific experience that was also filled with a lot of sexual violence. And so they had malnourished children. It was a really, really rough situation. They're subsistence farming, but they were working on land they were renting, and the owners of the land would charge a rent that fluctuated according to how much was harvested, which basically meant that the rent was always the maximum amount that they could extract from them, and they could never save any money and they never even quite had enough food for themselves or their families. So what we did is we raised the money to buy the land and then return the land to these women. So they own the title to the land. And seeing these farms was so amazing because not only are the women thriving, some of these women were like, that I was talking to were saying like, I weighed 90 pounds when you all bought the land, and now she weighs 130 pounds. And it's just, they were all just dancing and radiating and happy. They have solar panels, and it's not a Starlink, but it's something like a Starlink. And they rent out phone charging and electricity and internet connections. And they have beautiful greenhouses. They've all started to amass just enough wealth to buy a little shop in town and start selling the vegetables. Totally self-sustaining, totally thriving. It just was such a success story. But the reason I bring it up is that while I was in Africa, I kept asking people, do you know what supernatural is? And I couldn't find anyone who did. I posted on Instagram the other day this video of we picked up some hitchhikers in South Africa, and they got in the car.
Oh, I saw that.
And I was like, 4 people in the back seat of this tiny car. And I was like, hey, do you guys know Supernatural? And they said yes. And I was like, yes, you do? And somehow, I don't know how this happened, but I screwed up. Anyway, I said, you do? And he said, yes. And I said, really? And he said, and I said, really? Supernatural? You know the show? And he goes, oh, no. And somehow, I was trimming the video to make it, because there was fat on each side, and I tried to put very hastily posted it up, and I accidentally cut the part out about him saying no, which was the funny part about the video. So, anyway, now it just looks like I found somebody who watched Supernatural, which is not an interesting story. I don't know why I'm rambling so much. We're celebrating a successful cancer surgery of one of the staff members here. So we have a pink motif everywhere, and it was something that we texted about and were reminded about, and nonetheless I arrived here today in a blue shirt. I was like, why is everybody wearing pink? What's that all about? And they're like, the thing. I was like, oh, shit. But luckily, Brianna had a second shirt. And I did try to button it up. And then Brianna said, Misha, stop. It's an expensive shirt. Don't do that. Because the buttons were definitely going to rip off. So you get the full Sebastian Roche experience. Okay.
Hi, Misha. I just wanted to say thank you so much for being a global helper. And I was wondering if there was any place in the world you'd like to travel for fun.
Omaha, Nebraska. That's my happy place. Yeah. I want to go. There are certain things that I really want to see. I really want to go see the Amazon before it's gone. I would love to see northern realms in the Arctic Circle and the tundra. I don't really like touristy things, but I also like five-star luxury, so it's complicated. I want to go to Mongolia. I want to go to Kyrgyzstan. I don't know why, but I feel like it'd be cool to see places where other people don't really travel as tourists. And then it occurs to me, maybe there's a reason people don't go there. But I've also never seen, I just went to Africa for the very first time in my life. I've never even had like a layover in Africa. And it was totally eye-opening and amazing. But I've still never seen a gorilla in the wild, or a cheetah, or a leopard, or a lion, or I can keep naming big cats, but I'm not going to do that. You deserve better. Yeah, so kind of adventurous kind of places. I have found that I don't really love being a tourist in a city for some reason. It feels hard to penetrate. And I like things that are easier to penetrate.
Hi, Misha. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for being such an inspiration. So, for about 15 years, I worked with the same dozen people, and now I have a new role to where I have to be around a lot of people all the time, and then meeting after meeting, and all new people, which is out of my comfort zone. Obviously, with your career, you have to deal with a lot of people. How do you keep that balance of, dealing with the people and dealing with the public, but not getting too peopled out?
So I don't like people. Finally, we found the commonality in the supernatural. I don't either. We're all misanthropes. I think I'm an introvert. It's very weird because I have this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of personality. I think where I really am quite. If I can't recharge, God, it's a bare chest. Am I touching the flesh? What just happened? What am I doing? So but I used to come to conventions. I was like, I can't hang out in the green room. I'm just talking to people all the time, and then I would come back into this green room, and we're supposed to continue talking to each other. That drive a person insane. So for a few years, I was like, hey, can you find another room for me where I can just go with my book and be alone? Because my brain kind of just needs that reset time. But I find that I really need that. And I've been flying so much these days. My partner lives 1,200 miles away from me. I'm on a plane all the time, going back and forth there, but then I'm flying to conventions and flying to do other things. So that time is often really good for that for me. It can be a really, truly horrible thing if you sit down on a plane and the person next to you, as you're taxiing to take off, says something like, "So what do you do?" And I'm like, oh no, that is not happening. That's not what we're doing on this flight. Somebody did ask me that question recently, and I said, I raise money for religious organizations. And he was like, oh. Hide, lie, and do whatever you have to do to get away. What would my what?
Your presentation be about?
My TED Talk? How to avoid people. Yeah, so that's not a good title. Intimacy. You can escape it. I think I might like to talk about the fact that there was this sort of, I felt like I accidentally participated in cracking a nut of sorts around this game that I created, Gish, which, yay! Some of the old guard is still alive. So Gish was a scavenger hunt. And actually, I went to the University of Chicago, here in Chicago, and we had something called SCAV, which was a scavenger hunt in the very traditional sense of it, but it was a scavenger hunt on steroids. And I did Gish, lightly inspired by that. I iterated, and it was somewhat different, and it was global, but I infused it with a couple of things. Like it had some, we engaged in political commentary, we engaged in artistic endeavors that kind of push people out of their comfort zone and got them to try new things. And importantly, like for example, the Rwandan farm, we funded with Gish. So we turned raising the money for this project into a game. And I think a lot of times people have this conception that doing good, doing charitable work in the world has to become, it feels like a slog, it feels like a chore, it's something you do because you have to. And I've called it gamifying good, but I think that there might be, obviously I would get ChatGPT to help me write it, but a TED Talk about that, like somehow about the fact that there is a way to engage in the world and have a positive impact, and change the material circumstances of people's lives, but do it while having fun. And if we did more of that, then I think more of us would engage in doing good things for the world. So there you go. Hello.
Hi, my name is Destiny.
Hi, Destiny.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, was there something that you read, but as time moved on, your feelings about it changed? Like maybe you didn't let it happen.
Wait, maybe like what?
Like even if you were glad that it happened.
That I read?
Regret it.
Regret! I thought you said read. Like if there was something I read and later I regretted reading it. Yes, there's been many things. Mostly fan fiction. By the way, that was a joke. Don't read fan fiction and don't have to be say that I hear somebody going, sure. So, things that I've read that ended up being a good thing later.
Yeah.
It's funny, my son got in trouble for something at school this year. It was like kind of a serious thing. It was him and a bunch of other boys got in trouble for something at school, and it was like the kind of thing that I did all the time when I was in high school, and always got away with. But he got caught, and it was stupid, and he shouldn't have been doing this thing. And I was like, but this is actually, and of course he was like totally overwhelmed with remorse and regret about it. But it was a good thing that it happened when he was 14. Because there's like all these lessons that can be learned from it. And we had such wonderful conversations about it. So it was a great example of like a bad thing happening and learning from it in the moment and having it be like pretty clear to both him and I and everybody else involved, like pretty clear that in the end actually this is good that this happened. Because it's like a lesson learned before the consequences of doing something stupid later on in life can be so much worse. I, for whatever reason, got away with everything. So I never learned any lessons. And kept making mistakes into my 40s. I think that I don't know, I don't want to wax too philosophical about it, but I have a certain mentor when I started going through a divorce 5 years ago. He said, and it was hard, and it was like unnecessarily nasty, and he said, this can either be like just a miserable experience that you are kicking and screaming and fighting your way through at every step, or you can use it as the best teacher in your life, and you can actually learn and grow from the whole process. And that mindset and that framing was so unbelievably useful for me. And it did suck, and it took 4 years, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And actually, I have changed more in the last 5 years than I had in the previous 15 years. And I'm 50, you're not supposed to change at all at this age. And so in a weird way, I'm super grateful to have had that miserable experience. And because I wouldn't be where I am now, and I'm much happier where I am now than I was 5 years ago. And so I think there's a real wisdom in those words that I heard. Like, use the hard chapters of your life as a lesson. It's almost an axiom in Buddhism, but it's true. There are real lessons to be learned from hardship if you can allow them to teach you.
Hi, Misha.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'd like to thank you for being you, and
Well, I tried to be other people, but it doesn't work. I'm trying to be Brianna right now, and obviously, it's a calamity.
when you first started acting, did you ever think that you'd impact so much people in such a big way?
Of course I did. Thank you for that insightful question. Any follow-up questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. Such a dick.
Hi, I'm Allison. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good, that's not my question. But, sarcasm is fun. So, the reason I'm asking this question is because I'm a high school government teacher, and I've been teaching it for 9 years, and I really appreciated last year when you were here in Chicago to see some of the things that you were actively doing behind the scenes to be involved in our government here at home, and you do it internationally as well. And I appreciate what you do in that regard. I have to motivate young kids to want to be civically engaged, and you encourage young people to be politically active. So what is your advice for a young person who feels that their voice doesn't matter or a single vote doesn't count?
What is my what?
What is your advice for a young person who feels that their voice does not matter or a single vote doesn't count?
Civic engagement is an interesting thing because it's not actually, for the most part, rational. Like, the truth is, most votes don't count. Most people in America live in districts that are already predetermined. There are only a handful of states where the margins are narrow enough for an individual vote to matter. So you can look at it from this like purely cold, calculating, rational vantage point and be like, I'm not going to participate in that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make economic sense for me to waste my time with that. But I think that it speaks to something much deeper than that. It's about participating in the human family. It's about investing yourself in the collective and caring, showing you care, but also knowing that you did your part and you did the best that you could to have the best outcome possible for everyone. And it can be really demoralizing, I think. I'm politically on the progressive end of the spectrum, which you can tell by this is not right-wing attire. But and so, you know, I think a lot of the people that in my circles are despairing right now, and it's easy to despair, and it's easy to throw up your hands and be exasperated and think like, this is a disaster, there's nothing I can do, I'm powerless. But the truth is, when you feel powerless, when you feel like things are not going well, that's actually the time to find something that you can do that has a real impact. So people say, I can't have an impact. That's actually simply never true. Because there's always something you can do. And doing something gives you fuel and it gives you hope. When I was just in Rwanda, for example, it was like such a shining example of that. Here's something that a bunch of people playing a stupid game invested in getting on board a decade ago, and the impact is some of these women on this farm had kids who were malnourished when we bought the land, and some of those kids are in university on their way to med school now. They didn't have the money to buy pencils to go to elementary school 7 years ago, are now on track to go to medical school. That's a real impact. There's really something that happened that changed someone's life, and so there's always something that you can do. So I think that when you despair, it's really important to find the thing that you can do, because doing something gives you hope, and I really believe that's true.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Excellent, thank you.
I'm only after because my daughter put my name in.
I'm sorry that she sabotaged you like that.
She's okay. My question is this. You travel all over for the conventions, and Super Ranch obviously is huge. Is there any one city you feel the love from the fans more than others?
I would have some compunction about saying it into the microphone, but Chicago is the best, and the bands here are by far and away the best. And I can say that freely and openly and not feel anxious, because I know none of you record this. And it would never be leaked. Like, this is a circle of trust here, and nothing will be shared with the outside world. I feel confident that I can say that and not offend anyone. But yeah, other cities, by comparison, suck. Misha's creation.